Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC Fight Night between Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili. We're going to be breaking down two plays here like we always do, and I'm actually very excited about this card. A lot of times when we have a big pay-per-view, there is a very bad card following it, or a very lower level card following. This is actually a great card, top to bottom. I think there's some really interesting fights, entertaining fights, as well as great betting spots. So we're going to break all that down. If you want to become a client, link down in the description, and let's dive into it. Let's do what we always do here. We're going to break down 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So the first person here we're going to be talking about here is Petr Yan, and 3 fights ago he fought Corey Sandhagen. Now this is one that I thought was extremely interesting, stylistically, how these two are very, very high level on the feet. And early, you definitely saw how Yan, and we're probably going to talk about this a lot here, where Petr Yan, a lot of the times that he's out there, is he's very calculated in that first round, sometimes a little bit into that second round, and that's always been a kind of maybe an issue for him, or just how well he is when he's calculated, getting good reads, and then kind of moving forward. But this was a spot here where early Corey was doing work. I mean, he was pushing the pace, landing good shots. Again, that first round was definitely for Corey, and kind of going into that second round, still high volume, both pushing forward, both really having some big moments in those spots. Neither guy really kind of backpedaling really at all. And kind of as it moved forward, and as it continued to move forward, I gotta say Yan made some great adjustments, certain things that Corey was able to kind of do. Even the announcers are kind of saying, hey, look at the adjustments he's making, look at the reads he's making, look how he's setting traps, trying to pull Corey into certain moves, being able to land the more damaging shots. And I really thought that after that first round, pretty much moving on into that third, fourth, and fifth round was all Yan. He looked great. It shows again that he can fight 5 rounds. He has that cardio. He has that pace. Once he gets going, he's a tough guy to stop on the feet. Great body kicks as well too, outlanding Corey all over the place. So he goes out there and he does win a decision victory over Corey Sandhagen. 2 fights ago, he fought Aljamain Sterling for the second time. Now, this one right here I thought was very interesting. I think, well, early, and you pretty much saw where, again, Yan taking his time, Yan trying to get some reads. But the one thing that Aljo did, and maybe it's something that Merab could do going into Saturday night, is these takedowns, is trying to get this control time. Now, Merab does not have the athleticism, really the back takes that Aljamain has. I think Aljamain is extremely slick on the ground. He is very creative when he gets down there. He's aggressive when he gets down there. And that's one thing that he's had. Now, he does not have what Merab has. Merab has the cardio to really kind of fuel all of these takedowns, but you definitely saw the level changing was absolutely working into that second round, into that third round. It was just Aljo back take, getting the takedowns, control time, working on Yan, and Yan was not able to get up. But again, it was the body locks, certain things that I think that more Aljo does than Merab, but he was able to kind of latch on, keep the control time. Going into the later rounds, it definitely showed that Aljo was getting desperate. I think it was the 4th round where he absolutely missed a takedown, looked terrible. Yan was able to get top control and pretty much work him from there. It was a very close fight. You could go 3-2 one way, 3-2 the other way. I get it. It's a very close fight. Some people had Aljo, some people had Yan. I actually did bet Aljo in this spot, so I'm kind of happy that he got it. But either way, it was a loss for Petr Yan via decision. And then most recently, he fought Sean O'Malley. Now, this is the one here where I thought was interesting because, the line was getting wide. It kind of seemed, does O'Malley really fit into this division and these higher ranked guys? We've seen him have some nice wins, have some nice knockouts, but look iffy in certain spots. And this was one right here where I think everybody knew what Yan was going to do right away. It was chopping at those legs of Sugar Sean. And what he able to do, he's able to kind of keep doing that. Set the pace nice, landing nice shots, looking for takedowns. Now, an unusual for him to kind of fire for some takedowns, but he was getting control time. Looked like he was really starting to kind of have a lot of success early in that fight, really against Sean, pushing the pace, landing the better shots, way more creative shots. But going into that second round, Sean lands a big shot, rocks Jan. Jan looked like this was going to be a spot actually where Sean could really take over the fight. Jan battles back, lands a big shot, rocks both of them. The second round was absolutely crazy. Both of them had big moments. Both of them had shots. Both of them were rocked and damaged. It was a big spot in both of them. And then going into the third round, again, very close, big exchanges from both guys, very close. Again, I'm not going to dive into it because there's a lot I want to talk about at the end of this. But a very close fight overall. They both went at it. It was Sean O'Malley to go out there and get the victory. He did get the decision victory. I did score a 2-1 for Jan. I thought he did enough. I thought it was positionally. He was winning in certain spots. And they gave it to Sean. It is what it is. But there you have it, as Petr Yan does lose to Sean O'Malley. And then the other side, you've got Merab. And 2 fights ago, he fought Cody Stamann. And this was one where it's 2 wrestlers, right? You got 2 wrestlers that are out there. Both of these guys are, sometimes when you got 2 wrestlers, it kind of nullifies each other and it starts to be a stand-up fight. And that's kind of what happened here. Both of them, big pace guys. Both of them have the cardio, they have the wrestling, so it kind of countered both of them. And something that Merab's very good at and Cody's very good at, it kind of was clashing a little bit. But Merab was doing enough. He was doing enough, putting enough out there, just kind of eking out some of these rounds positionally, landing some nice shots, maybe more pressure than he had over him as well too. But Cody did nice defending some of these takedowns, able to kind of, at a certain spot, kind of get back up, find his way to even look for his own kind of takedowns, be aggressive with his wrestling. But it was enough for Merab to go out there, get the victory. He wins by decision. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Marlon Moraes. This was an absolutely crazy one, and it shows the durability also of Merab and that he could take a brick to the face and keep moving forward. But this was one in that first round where it's the one thing that Marlon does better than anyone is rock somebody early and either put them out or he dies, later in the fight. But it was one here where he rocked Merab. Merab was dropped, and it looked like this was going to be the beginning of the end of Merab. He was landing big shots, following him. Merab fell down. He was landing big shots, and the one thing that Marlon has is he doesn't have cardio. So he was just selling out to land the big shot, to finish the fight, pushing heavily, landing. He did not get it. Minute and 30 left in that first round. That's when Merab, he pushes through. And again, I think that's a very big takeaway from that fight for many people, obviously, but a very, very big takeaway just because, again, if he's going to get clipped by Jan, or if he's going to get clipped by anybody else, he has the ability to kind of go on autopilot, almost something like Glover Teixeira could do. He gets rocked, he can go on autopilot, seek the takedown, get top control, find his way to kind of get the cobwebs out and reevaluate what's going on. That's exactly what happened here. He got those takedowns, got that late takedown, ended up getting that top control, and he unloaded big elbows, big ground and pound. Going into that second round, Merab had pretty much nothing left. He was pretty much done. He got dropped, finished, fight over. Merab wins via second round TKO. And then most recently, Merab fought Aldo. Now, against Aldo in this fight, this was an interesting fight because, you've got such a high level of takedown defense from Aldo. Jose Aldo has a well-rounded skill set. He has been champion. He just, experience level. Just a lot of great things that he has as a well-rounded skill set. And takedown defense is definitely something up there. His takedown defense is the stuff of legends, basically. And the one thing that Merab was able to do, and I think it's something that he possibly could do, is that he doesn't need to get these takedowns. He doesn't need to always take you down. He can kind of muscle you, push you up against the fence, take you down, you get back up, muscle you up against the fence, a little dirty boxing, take you back down, you get back up. It's kind of this dance that he does, and that's exactly what happened with Aldo here. Aldo was smothered, his offense was smothered, he didn't really provide much when it came down to it, and he just kept it close, pushing him up against the fence, kept Aldo up against the fence for most of the fight. There was even spots where Aldo kind of looked, annoyed or mad and kind of making gestures, and it just, to me, that kind of thing just shows it's smothering, it's suffocating what Merab can do, where he can keep you there. A guy of Aldo's stature was really struggling. I mean, even when he was able to create space, Merab is just walking forward and ready to go for another takedown or clinch up or get on you. He smothered all of Aldo's offense throughout that fight. Aldo really offered up nothing at all. It was an easy decision victory for Merab. now with that being said here, now you got Petr Yan, he's minus 275 on the comeback here. Merab is now up to plus 210. That line continues to grow, continues to get wider now. The first thing here we got to talk about, obviously, is going to be the grappling side of things, because I think that's the biggest storyline in this fight, the biggest thing that's going to be talked about in this fight. Now, it's going to be Merab where he's going to have that pressure. He's going to have that smothering pressure, and he's going to be looking to nullify your offense. That's the way that he's been. That's his weapon. Weaponizing his cardio, as well as weaponizing pushing up the defense, positionally winning. Those are the ways that I think he has, when we've seen him find ways to get victories. And I think Aldo is really that shining example for him. Listen, it's not the sexiest, offense that he has, but it's enough where he can just get those victories. And again, the W is what matters at the end of the day. But the heavy pressure is one thing, but I think I kind of correlate the way that Merab fights to the way that kind of Colby Covington fights. And I think that they're definitely different in their own ways, of course, with the pace and striking and some of these things they do. But I think the takedowns and the way that they control are very similar, where Colby's looking to kind of push you against the fence, lean on you, have you kind of hold his weight, take you down, you get back up, he's still on you, and the repeatedness of getting up and getting down, although I think Colby is much better than Merab, but the repeatedness of these takedowns and getting back up are so draining that someone like Merab and also someone like Colby, who has great cardio, can really, really drain somebody, drown somebody, and that is absolutely huge. And that's how Merab's been able to bank rounds. He's been able to bank rounds by just kind of doing enough. Sometimes people say, even in the Aldo fight when I was watching, it's kind of like, yeah, I guess you give it to Merab because Aldo did nothing, and the only thing that Merab did was kind of hold them and kind of dirty box a little bit and kind of keep positional spots. So you can't really give it to Aldo because he was held and he didn't offer up much offense. So that's the kind of way that Merab is able to kind of find ways to win. And even the fact that there's another part, the fact that Yan is a slow starter, and we talked about it a little bit, and again, it's something a lot of people know, of course. It's not telling you something you don't know, but the slow starting part of a 5-round fight. Now, we did see that he started very quickly against Sean O'Malley. He came out quickly, he was firing quickly, he went for a takedown, he was really keeping the volume. He did not want to give up one round. So this is a situation where maybe he does, and maybe that first round, Merab gets enough to kind of hold him up against the fence and start that fight up 1-0, which is a nice start for any fighter, especially the way that Merab does fight. So the low volume and the slow start, I think, does help Merab early in this fight. And again, he's got the cardio, both of them do, have the cardio to consistently keep going. And I think also that the low volume and kind of these lapses in action provide a landscape for Merab to shoot takedowns to kind of push that forward. Now, you do see Yan, he can move forward aggressively. Once he gets going, the guy is sharp as it gets when it comes to his stand-up game. But I think some of these lapses could help Merab set a tone, set a pace, and dictate the pace of the fight. And then also, yes, you've got the part of it where the takedowns, and can Yan get up? And Yan has a 90% takedown defense rate, so he has a very high success rate of defending these takedowns, as well as a scrambling ability. His scrambling ability is very good, is very top-notch, the guy is well-rounded, but we've seen, even against Aldo, you don't need, Merab does not need a full-on takedown to win a round. He can just kind of, again, lean on you, I keep saying it, but leaning on you and doing enough to bank a round. Now on the feet, striking, we're not going to dive into this because this is completely Petr Yan. He's out there. He is just lethal. He has got high-level striking. He's powerful. Fantastic accuracy. And the way that he sets traps, and that's something that Merab's going to have to look out for. The way that he sets traps, he gets these reads, and you could really tell that's what he does. He gets a read, and then he tries to kind of throw a shot over there, make you kind of shift over and look for something else. And that has been just a great formula for him to find success and really make himself very, very, different, kind of keeping opponents out of rhythm. And Merab on the other side, he's very hittable, on the feet. He's very hittable. He is trying to improve. He is trying to get better. I think even his last fight, I thought in certain spots where they did have a little bit of break, he looked a little bit crisper. But again, it's just nowhere near the striking of Petr Yan, which again, Merab's going to know the deal. I got to dive at legs for 25 minutes to get this victory. Now, of course, pace and everything, both of them can set a pace. Again, earlier, I think Jan, there is issues there where he just doesn't throw enough. He just doesn't throw enough, and then he kind of can let somebody kind of get away. But I think the pace and everything like that is going to help him. Now, the damaging shots are going to come from Jan. He's going to have the damaging shot. I think that's going to help him. But then I think the minute winner is probably gonna be Merab. And I think, listen, there's gonna be a big shot. You know, Merab could get clipped and Merab could get rocked, and then he goes for a takedown, and then he could lay on him for 2 minutes. So, not like that's definitely gonna happen, because again, Jan is very tough to be taken down, but just the way that Merab is built is for 5 rounds. I mean, the guy is built for 5 rounds. It's not the sexiest way, but it's built for 5 rounds. And then I think the other part of this, is that where this money's going, right? Like where this money's going. I mean, now you looked at Petr Yan, he was around a minus 155 when it opened. Now he's minus 275. Money is flowing in on Yan. It continues to, and again, I get it. I understand that. There's a lot of great things there. But for me here in this spot, this is a dog or pass spot. I mean, I don't really see how you're really going to be laying 3-1 against for Petr Yan at this point, unless you want to get creative, unless you're looking for method of victory. But I think this fight is going to be sweaty. I think this fight is going to be close, and that's where you just start leaning the dog here. And, you know, I get it. I get it. You know, if this fight stays standing, Merab's in big trouble, but I just think that it's going to smother. I kind of feel it's going to be very similar to Aldo, where just not pulling the trigger. Yan could be iffy on doing much because he does not want, and that's what happened to Aldo. Aldo kind of stayed at distance because he just didn't want to, you know, he throws a shot and all of a sudden, boom, Merab's on and pushes him up against the fence. And he just knows, I can't get out of this. So I think that is absolutely huge to really push the pace and really put Yan into uncomfortable positions. And you know, the other part of this is that, you know, the durability. I mean, even if Merab does get rocked or does get hit, he has the ability to keep pushing forward. You know, he has the ability to just kind of do enough to kind of get out of danger, whether it's looking to get to the next round or just get out of danger in that round. And also a little sprinkler too that I think is interesting is that who's one of Merab's top partners at the gym? Aljo. Aljamain Sterling is one of his, you know, top training partners at the gym, and he has prepared for him twice. Ray Longo, my buddy, also has trained for Yan twice. These are guys who really know Petr Yan very well, who have spent a lot of time in the cage, a lot of time studying him. That 100% is going to help. I mean, I think it's going to, now it's going to be a difference maker? Of course not. But is it going to be another piece of this? Yes. And I think the most critical part of this fight is when you look at the way Merab fights, you know, half of the round, as the opponent, half of the round, you're just trying to defend takedowns. You're trying to keep space. You're trying to get your back off the fence. You're trying to keep moving. You're trying to get your offense off when you can. But half of the round is you're just trying to just keep space between you and Merab. And then the other half of the round, you need to now create offense and be able to do enough to win rounds. That's what makes Merab so difficult, is that he can smother enough, he's not giving you enough time to kind of get your offense off, and he can push this fight later into the round. So for me here, this is a dog or pass spot. I like Merab. I think he gets the job done here. He's plus 210. I think that number is inflated way too much. Yan should 100% be the favorite in this spot, but I would put it much lower than this. I think Merab could do enough to kind of win rounds. I don't see a finish here. I think this goes to a decision. But either way, I do like Merab plus 210 to go out there and get the job done. I think the decision was like plus 330 or somewhere around there. But plus 210, I like the number. I think it's a juicy enough number as it is against such a killer like Yan. So as my free play, I'm going Merab plus 210 to get the job done. And the other fight I'm going to quickly talk about here is Bruno Silva versus Tyson Nam. You got Bruno Silva minus 200. You got Nam plus 165. Now this is one here where you got Silva, more of a well-rounded kind of guy, grappler kind of guy, and then you've got Nam, who, you know, big power puncher, good boxing, and that's the thing about Nam that I think is very impressive. Now this guy, slick boxing, power, sharp on the feet. I think he's really quick hands, so he's got quick hands and power, and he's got some nice footwork. I think he does a lot of good things, utilizing his angles, working his angles, getting his combinations off, and then finding a way to kind of re-enter into the pocket. And the other side here, Silva, grappler, like we were just saying. I think he's got some decent boxing. Now, I think the reason why this line is as wide as it is one, because I think the grappling side of things, I think Silva could get these takedowns. He could control from there. He could win some rounds from there. That's one part of it. But I think the recency bias more is going towards Silva in this spot, inflating this line to -200. And, he right now he's back-to-back knockout victories, impressive, look good. I think it was a first round and a second round knockout victories, looking pretty good there. But if you look who he beat, he knocked out JP Buys and Victor Rodriguez. Don't rate these guys high at all. These guys combined are, I think, 0-5 in the UFC. Not the highest level guys. Now, I'm not saying that Nam is fighting these high-level guys, but not the highest-level guys that's going to give you a reason to say, hey, you knocked out JP Buys, you deserve to be the sizable favorite. I don't think so. Prior to that, prior to Silva's 2 wins, he went 0-3. Now, one of them ended up being a no decision, but he went 0-3, didn't look good in certain spots, was getting completely just outmatched, outgunned in all of those fights. And again, yes, Nam has not faced the highest level of guys, or at least beat the highest level of guys, but he's 3-1 over his last 4. I thought he's looked pretty good. 3 of those wins, all 3 of them came by knockout. He is still showing that power. Now, I know he's older. He's up in the 40s now. He's getting older, but he's still showing he has power. He has ability. I think those things are very, very good overall. And really, the only loss that he had over that span was against Matt Schnell, who, not the, a high enough guy, a high enough level guy, not the elite level guys, but I think he's a tough enough guy where he's well-rounded. He's good at the ground. He'll stay in the pocket. Those are certain things I think, and he ended up losing that. So if he ended up squeaking that out, he could be on a 4-fight win streak. That's pretty massive for a guy in his 40s. But also the tough competition, that we were just kind of talking about, the tough competition of Nam. Yeah, he went 3-1 out of his last 4, but the 2 fights prior that he lost was against Kai Kara-France and Sergio Pettis. This is some tougher guys compared to what Silva has faced. But I think stylistically, when you're looking at it, Silva, could he get these takedowns? Could he look to control? Of course he could. He could have that in his back pocket there. But the success rate on his takedowns is 18%. He's not this guy that's just having all the success getting takedowns. I think once Silva's down there, I think he's very dangerous. But I don't see the wrestling and the ability to kind of get the fight there. Where Nam on the other side, he's known to show some nice takedown defense, create space. The footwork is there. It makes it a little bit harder for him to be taken down. Plus, he's got to cut distance, and as you're shooting, he's throwing the big bombs. I think that's part of it too. The better footwork definitely goes to Nam, and with the hand speed, and he's technically better on the feet as well too. I think that's going to also cause Silva problems as well. And then you add in the fact that there's a 2-inch reach advantage also for Nam. I think this is a good spot for him here. I think he's going to have the bigger moments. I think he's going to have the more damaging shots. I think that's going to help him as well. So in this spot here, I do like the dog. I like Tyson Nam, plus 165. I think he gets the job done. Knockout, you could go knockout method here, but either way, again, I like the plus money, plus 165, Tyson Nam to get the job done. So those are my plays for UFC Fight Night this Saturday. If you want to become a client, link down in the description, and let's see how we do. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.